I'm a little bit sick, so if I sound sick, that is because I am in this video. So, I was trying to think of stuff to talk about today, and I was thinking about weird dreams that I have, because I have extremely vivid dreams for whatever reason, to the point where it feels like I can feel the ground beneath my feet. And I just have dreams where I call it my little dream world or my little dream universe. It's like little pockets of little like bubble worlds, like where I don't know. It's like they're like little worlds that exist in my head, and when I fall asleep, sometimes I see them. I've always had a hard time fully explaining it to people because um, I feel like not a lot of people really uh, can relate. Sometimes, sometimes people do, but not all the time. And yeah, I don't know. I often actually get a lot of inspiration from my dreams because, as you know, I'm working on a few game ideas, and oftentimes when I'm thinking about something a lot, I'll have dreams about it. So I'll I'll be thinking about my game a lot, particularly the one game that I've been working on since I was in high school, and I'll be thinking about it all the time, and then when I go to bed, I'll have dreams about it, and so then it kind of is like this really this really kind of convenient loop where I'll wake up and I'll be like, that was a cool idea. And then I'll try to write it down or draw a picture of it. And then it'll become part of the game. And it's like, it's this weird process where it's like I'm dreaming it. So, it's like it's from my brain, but like, I wasn't like fully like awake and like trying to think of something. It just kind of came to me for my dream, and so it's almost like it's kind of like a thing that's left up to chance. And a lot of the things that are going to be part of my game that I'm trying to build, a lot of them, like a lot of the parts of it, will have come from dreams. And I sometimes wonder why I have such vivid dreams, and I think part of it is because I've always had a really big imagination. Ever since ever since I can remember being a human being, I've had a big imagination. I remember as a kid, especially when I was like really little, like 4 or 5, I remember being able to like I remember I would be just lost in my imagination where like I remember I would play pretend. I always played pretend as a kid. I never really played with toys. I don't know why. I just didn't like toys. I always wanted to dress up as characters that I liked, and I would always be like pretending to be the characters. Um, I remember I would play pretend, and I would like be imagining, you know, like the little pretend game that I was playing, and I remember like I have this like weird memory that of like pretending to be Super Mario and like literally seeing my imagination in front of me. And I don't remember if that's how that actually happened, but that's what I remember it kind of feeling like. But it's a very vague memory. I just remember being on my trampoline in our backyard, in my childhood house. And I remember it was like a sunny morning or something. It was a sunny day, and and yeah, I mean, and while I can't like literally like I can't quite literally see my imagination, like with my eyeballs. I still like if I get really lost in a daydream, it's like the world around me just kind of like fades away and I become immersed in my imagination. Sometimes my brain is like so imaginative where like I oftentimes feel like I'm kind of stuck between two worlds. Like I know that sounds kind of weird and woo woo like very magical like fantasy like, but it's just how it feels, you know. Like I feel like sometimes I feel like you know I have one foot in the present like reality and the other foot just like lost in my head, where oftentimes I'll be like imagining things without even like realizing it. Like when people talk to me or when I hear people talk, I'll be imagining things about what they're saying. Or like when I'm listening to music, I'll always see images in my head. You know, I'll always kind of be imagining things. You know, when I'm hearing somebody tell a story, I'll be imagining the story in my head, and oftentimes I'll, like, without realizing it, associate what I imagined, like, with, like, being as if it's, like, the real thing that happened. And sometimes I'll forget that what I saw in my head, like, wasn't real, and and like it was just my imagination, and it probably was different than I imagined it. Um, and oftentimes I when I listen to audiobooks, I don't like to read books. I like to listen to audiobooks. I'll often like see very clearly in my head the characters in the world, and it's like almost like a cinematic kind of experience. And I also hear music in my head. I just in general I hear music all the time in my head. Like um I can't like make it not hear music in my head. Like it I always have something in my head. And oftentimes I sometimes don't even like like being when I'm in complete silence, sometimes like the silence around me is almost drowned out by the music in my head. Like to me personally, like in my point of view, like I'll like if I'm laying in bed at night and I don't have my fan on and it's just completely silent, like sometimes I won't even like realize or think about it until I stop and intentionally try to listen to the silence, because otherwise I'll be hearing music in my head constantly. A lot of times I get songs stuck in my head, but sometimes like sometimes it's almost like a soundtrack in my head, or sometimes it's like music that I'm like coming up with in my head without like thinking about it. And sometimes I'm a songwriter, so sometimes I try to like before I lose that that musical idea, I'll try to like catch it and like hold on to it long enough to be able to like record it or like play it on my guitar or like play it on my piano or something. Not really a piano. I just have a little like 32 key keyboard or something. But you know, I'll try to just like get it from my head into the tangible world before it's like too late, because if it's too late then it's like it's just gone. Like I it's hard for me to recover specifically music ideas. Like for some reason it's just like it's a very fleeting thing where if I don't record it immediately it'll just be gone forever, or it'll be really different than how I heard it in my head originally. Yeah, like it's just a very it's like trying to hold water in your hands. You know, it's just very slippery. Um, yeah, when it comes to like images in my head or like visual imagination, it's a lot easier for me to remember it. But a lot of times it's sometimes hard to make out the details. Sometimes it feels kind of blurry or like there's kind of a filter over it. I imagine it's almost, I mean, not to like, make light of, other people's suffering, but sometimes it feels like, you know, like, when people have um, I'm forgetting what it's called, but like, my dog, before he passed away recently, he had really cloudy eyes, and you could just see it in his eyes. They were like super white and cloudy, and I imagine that the way he, like his vision was probably how is probably similar to how my mind's eye kind of appears to me, because a lot of times my visual like imagination is very cloudy when I'm awake, or when I'm trying to see into it like consciously. When I'm not really super with it, like when I'm daydreaming or when I'm asleep, it becomes crystal clear, especially when I'm asleep. Like I've had moments in my dreams where I just become fully immersed in my dream and fully aware in my dream, and it's like crystal clear, like as if it's real. And it can be really surreal sometimes because it'll be like it feels like I'm there, and sometimes I forget that I'm dreaming, and sometimes I forget that like I'm not actually awake in my dreams. Um, I also have a lot of dreams that are about like it's not like necessarily recurring dreams, but like dreams that happen in the same sort of spaces, like the same sort of dreamscapes. I often have dreams about the neighborhood that I lived in when I was in high school. For some reason, like specifically, I also actually just have a lot of dreams about high school in general. Like I constantly have dreams where I'm in high school. Actually, it's funny because I have like in my dreams all like every time I have a dream about high school, it's always the case that for some reason I always am repeating my senior year specifically, where like in my dreams, like I've repeated this my senior year like 12 times. like and every time I dream about it, I always am like, oh, okay, I finally finished senior year again. Can I please go now and be out of this hellhole? And it's always like, oh, well, you failed this one assignment in math class, so you have to retake the entire year. And I'm always like, no! And it's always, oh, I bumped my phone. Like a devastating, like, I have to do this all over again. And people around the school, because I'm like, in my dream I'm like the only 20-year-old among a bunch of teenagers, and people would be like, why are you still here? And I'm like, I don't know. A lot of times I'll just fall asleep, and then like I'll immediately be in school when the dream like forms around me. Like I'll just immediately be in school, like in high school, and I'll be like, why am I here? I'm like, I'm in college. Why am I here? you know, and it's very stressful, because I really don't want to ever be in high school again. because high school is the worst and teenagers really suck. So yeah. I also have a lot of dreams where I'll be specifically in my childhood friend's house, which they don't live in anymore. We have these family friends that we've known ever since my parents were in college, and I have a lot of dreams about their old house that it's like it was almost like a second childhood home. Um, but they don't live there anymore. But I still like have dreams about it a lot of the time. And like I'll have dreams that like we're staying in that house, or that they still live there for some reason, even though they've already moved out. And yeah, it's just such a weird like, it's like I guess that house has just become so like such a big part of my childhood like psyche that like it's just become like permanently ingrained into my brain. I also have just lots of like really like vivid like fantastical style dreams where like I often have dreams about like rolling hills and like nature, and like I'm like an adventurer like traversing the land or something, and I've got like my medieval outfit where I've got like boots and like a tunic and stuff. Usually I just kind of look like Link from Zelda because I love Zelda, so it becomes part of my dreams. Um, and I've tried to like make like something out of those dreams because it's such a specific like landscape where like the I have the layout specifically mapped out in my head. And yeah, it's just interesting. I'll probably put up pictures that I've drawn of these like dream ideas that I'm talking about. I remember there was one time I had a dream about my my girlfriend at the time when I had this dream, and I remember like this dream is so vivid that and specific that like I've actually been trying to incorporate elements of it into my game idea. But you know, it was this dream that I was in like a rundown like castle house, and there was a figure, like I was in like this big room with a grand staircase, and there was this figure who looked like my girlfriend at the time, and she was like on the stairs, and then she like took a few steps, like she stared at me and then took a few steps and then like vanished like whoosh, you know. And then I chased after her, and then I followed her into this room that was like a parlor room. There was a mirror, and I stepped up to the mirror, and I was looking at myself, and there was no one physically behind me, but in the mirror I saw the figure walk up to me from behind, and even though like there was no one there but me, I physically felt her like embrace me from behind, and I could feel it, but you know, when I looked over my shoulder there was no one there, but I could see her in my reflection in the mirror. And she just like whispered something really cryptic in my head that in my ear that I cannot remember for the life of me. Um, but and then she disappeared in the reflection, and then like a hand, like an inky black hand, like dripping with ink, just started like reaching from inside the mirror. Um, and then she just like and then she was just standing there in front of me. Oh crap! Damn it! I keep hitting my phone. And yeah, and so yeah, it was just a really like creepy dream. And I don't know, that relationship was not a great relationship, so it kind of almost feels like it was my brain like trying to tell me something. And that's not the full dream, but that's like a brief rundown of the dream. Yeah, I just, I have lots of dreams about like, I feel like that have like emotional weight to it. I dream a lot about my ex-girlfriends, for whatever reason. And I dream a lot about like processing certain things, and I feel like dreams are like my brain's way of like kind of like having a safe place to sort of like process things and kind of try to like tell me things. I remember when I was in high school, I had a lot of dreams. When I was like really depressed when I was in high school, I had a lot of dreams where I would just be, and actually I still have a lot of dreams about this. I'd have a lot of dreams about space. And while in real life, I look at space and the night sky, and I feel this sort of existential dread and terror sometimes. In my dreams, space is like this really like welcoming, almost like sanctuary, where I have a lot of dreams where I'll be like sitting on my own little planet in space, and I'll just be looking out into the stars and stuff, and I'll see planets and stuff, and and a lot of times there's no sound, as in like sound effects. I guess that would make sense because I am in space, but there's still like music, for whatever reason. It's almost kind of like Mario Galaxy type music, where it's like the really like atmospheric, like mellow, kind of like eerie tracks from that game. Yeah, it's just really it's like a really like escapist, like relaxing feeling where it's like, oh, no one's here to disturb me. I can just be by myself in peace, And yeah, I have those dreams a lot when I'm like really down and like really struggling with people specifically. Yeah, it's like a weird mental like brain trying to give me space and peace, like to just like be relaxed and by myself, and those dreams are like really rejuvenating. But I also, speaking of which, I also have a lot of really stressful dreams. A lot of times my stress dreams will just be like me trying to like defend myself around a bunch of people who are like ganging up on me a little bit. Like, and I have a lot. It's like an example like that I tell people a lot because it's funny. Actually, a few dreams that I've had that are pretty funny that I tell people about. I had this one dream once where my parents, like, I came home to my parents' house, and this was when I was living with my parents at the time. I had a dream where I came back home, and there was like a bunch of construction around my parents' house, and I was like, "What's going on?" And my parents were like, "Oh, we're bulldozing the house," and I was like, "Okay, that's really sudden. Can I at least get my stuff?" And they're like, "No." And I was like, "What?" And they're like, "No, you can't." And I'm like, "But I need clothes and my video games," and and they're like, "Nah," and and then I'm just like, "Well, what am I gonna do? Like, I'm not gonna have clothes. I'm not gonna have video games. Why are my parents bulldozing the house?" I also had a stress dream that was particularly funny, where I was at like a water park, and there was like some like instructor lifeguard man who like was like giving us instructions like, okay, you know, like everybody don't run around the pool and stuff, like, so like me and a group of people, um and and he was like, you know, everybody ready to have fun? And everybody was like, yeah! And then it was like, everybody is excited? They're like, yeah! And then he's like, everybody got your pineapples? And then he holds up a pineapple, and everybody's like, yeah! We got our pineapples! And I look around frantically, because everybody's got pineapples, but except me, because I don't have a pineapple, and I'm like, oh crap, I don't have a pineapple, what do I do? And that was like really stressful for some reason. I was like really stressed out, and I was like, I don't have my pineapple. Everybody else has their pineapples, but I don't have my pineapple. And yeah, that was like that was a really stressful dream, where I didn't know what to do, and yeah, and everybody around me was like doing something, but I didn't know what to do. That's where that's a lot of my stress dreams, where it's like everybody's doing something and I don't know what I'm supposed to do about it. I also have a lot of stress dreams um, about like being late to things and like trying to like put clothes on frantically, but like every time I put on clothes, like suddenly like I'm not wearing them and I have to like put them back on again, and it's like really hard to put them on for some reason. And sometimes I have stress dreams where like I'll forget that like someone's waiting for me, and so like I'll just be like dicking around for like hours, and then they're like, hey, where are you? I've been waiting for hours. And I'm like, oh crap. You know, and I'm like, oh dang it, I messed up. And you know, just like really really stressed. I keep getting notifications, sorry about that. I should just put my phone on silent. But yeah, so those are some of my things with dreams that I wanted to talk about. But I ran out of things to talk about, so stay cool and attractive, and I'll see you around. And I'm gonna try to stop being sick, because I keep getting sick.